Good evening. Happy Thursday, everyone. Happy Thursday. We are back. This is season 2 of Let's Talk Live with your international mindset maven. As you know, I am your host, Shayla Bryan. We are back at it again. This is week 3. And today we are talking about, are you causing your life issues? Very interesting conversation. More than likely, this conversation, for those who are listening, and if you're catching it live, definitely hashtag live. And if you're catching the replay, certainly make sure that you do hashtag the replay. Go ahead and please share this conversation tonight. So tonight we're talking about, are you causing your life issues? So let me go back to what is this weekly talk about. So let's talk focuses on conquering and helping women break free from those challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis that keeps us stuck, keeps us stagnant, and does not allow us to live an optimal, fulfilled life, right? So the idea and the concept that I have every week when I'm having these conversations is my mission, right? This is really my mission, is to help women become bold, courageous, and take action to live life on their terms, to live life on their own terms. But first we have to know what that means. What does that look like? Okay, many women have not simply taken the opportunity to really envision their own lives, to see what it is that they should be doing, what they want to be doing. They have not explored their own curiosity. So this is the reason why I am here every single week. Okay, so if you have already been familiar with this weekly talk, and then 2008, I believe 2008, we started with season 1, and we broke down those 7 most common challenges women face. And those 7 challenges, we went up, as we expanded in a 7-month conversation, and we brought on some powerful women. And season 2 is definitely the next level, right? Where we're bringing on some powerful women who are living their best life. They're doing their thing. They're living an optimal life, and they're happy, they're joyful, they're walking in their lane, and they're thriving in what they do. So tonight, if you haven't caught last week, definitely I am going to post the YouTube link that you can go back and watch week 2, where last week we broke down a few common factors that could be preventing most women from living their life to their fullest, and I'm going to just kind of go back into a couple of those that I talked about last week. One of them was whether or not you had a healthy social life, right? We know that there's always a saying of haters. How you doing, Clyde? Good evening. So you have another factor that could be potentially keeping a lot of women from living their optimal life is perhaps the career. They're not in a career that they really, really want to be in. So therefore, it causes this sense of, instability or unhappiness, not joyful. You get up every day, you're dragging yourself, you don't want to go there. Another one of those factors was health, right? We know that quarantine year, this was a year that really sets a lot of us in a very, very, challenging situation to have to be home and stuck eating, right? For a lot of us, food turned into a comfort. I could tell you, for me, food turned into a comfort. So I had to make sure that I was careful with, how I was eating. So we talked about several factors. So I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping that everyone took the opportunity. If you have not already, definitely grab pen and paper and share this conversation. But I'm hoping that you have already taken time to look through your life, take inventory, and see where is it, in what area of your life are you having these issues that is keeping you stuck, it's keeping you stagnant. Because we need to deal with that area. We need to address that area of your life. That way you can completely have a complete vision of what your life could potentially look like, and begin to work. You work and strive daily. You put one foot in front of the other so that you can move forward and live your best life, okay? Not the best life that people are living on social media. I'm talking about you, that you can consciously, as you lay at night, every night that you go to bed, you can rest well on your consciousness that you're happy with the things that you're doing, the decisions that you're making, that the people that you have in your life. Because last week I talked about relationships, right? A lot of people are anchored, unhappy, and miserable because they have someone in their life who is contributing to that sense of misery, okay? And I did say, I know it's pretty hard for a lot of people. It's pretty hard if you are in a relationship that you don't easily get to leave. It is going to be a challenge to get out of that relationship. But hey, everybody has to do what they have to do, right? So let's say that you've dealt with these issues that we talked about last week. You've taken inventory, you assess what's going on in your life, and you still not living a quality and content life. Why is it? Why is it that you have already sat down, you've looked through it, right? You've assessed it, but for some reason you still feel stuck, you still feel stagnant? So what I'm going to say is that there are two parts of life that you have to balance and manage effectively and efficiently in order for you to be able to truly experience and prosper in life and live it optimally, right? So those two are going to be yourself and external influences. Those are going to be the very much two important aspects of life in order to live your life to the best of your abilities. And this is very important. This is important that you understand yourself. It's important to understand yourself, because then you know what are you factoring or allowing to contribute to the lack of happiness, the lack of joy. What is it that you're allowing in your life that it's not contributing to your prosperity, to your growth? It's not contributing to happiness and experiences that you could potentially be having. Okay, so yourself and external influences are the main two reasons why you need to know how to balance your life. So let me just go with the self, okay, because we know we have no control. We really have no control of the things that happens to us. It's just how we deal with these things, right? It's how we deal with these the situations, the circumstances that makes the difference. Okay. So most of the time, determining your issues and managing your issues can definitely be positive. If you know how to identify them, if you know how to manage them, then you know what? You can determine the course of your day. You can determine the course of your life as you go through it. You can definitely every day make a decision for yourself what you're going to allow, how you're going to receive whatever it is that's happening. Okay. I'm going to say that, even for me, myself, today I had one of those days where it was just a setback, right? I had a few meetings in my office. I could not meet all of the day's challenges and goals that I had set for myself. So I had one of those days today, one of those days that I had to realize that, hey, I'm in charge of my emotions. I'm the one who has to manage my emotions. So what I can tell you is what I've learned over the years is that a lot of women are stuck because they have self-defeating beliefs, right? They have self-sabotaging beliefs, limiting beliefs. They're not able because they have probably not gained or grown into that, what you call emotional intelligence, in order to look through the disappointments, look through your disappointments and see the lessons that each disappointment brings. Each disappointment in life, it's really bringing you to another sense, what you call, it's bringing you to an elevation of your own wisdom. The reality is that how would you be able to be wiser without failing? How would you learn unless you try, right? How would you know unless you go through something? You can't. You have to go through it. I don't know what some people are going through, but I can tell you every one of us is going through something in life every day. It's how you manage your disappointments, your emotions, it's how you process it. I always say, and I learned this and I have been teaching it to my own kids, is that when you're going through the hardship, when things just don't seem to be going right, you need to take a pause and you need to process. Okay? You need to take a pause, and that way you can process. Because when you can process what's going on around you, then you have the upper hand, you have the advantage, because now you can control yourself, and then you can process an effective way of managing yourself through the challenge, through the circumstance that could potentially be a crisis, right? But if you're unwilling to make changes because you're afraid, then I can tell you then you have already failed. because you have not even tried. I was on a virtual conference last week, Saturday, and conference was legacy. It's a legacy conference, and a gentleman said something that was so true and very profound to me. It made a lot of sense. He said that you're only a failure when you have not tried. That's the only time that you can consider yourself being a failure, if you have not tried. Okay, so if you at least trying, if you're striving, if you're making attempts, listen, keep pressing. You're championing. That's the difference between those who accomplish and those who don't. The fact that you are making attempts, the fact that you're putting one foot in front of the other, the fact that you have said to yourself, you're going to do this thing, and you start to move, that's the sign of a champion and a winner. The person that sits and just complains, or that sits back and says, I can't, I don't know how to, I'm not experienced, that's a defeating mindset, and that's the mindset of a failure. All right. So it's easy to talk about these things, because a lot of us who are on a platform, who are trying to teach some principles and giving wisdom out and impart it into the marketplace, it seems like it's such an easy thing to do. But let me tell you, I've had to conquer. I've had to fight. I personally have had to endure a lot of hardships in my life, and every day something that happens. But you know what? I make a decision every day, that I'm going to have my mind renewed, right? I know that I did a live yesterday as well, that it was very important that my spirit was so, full and happy. And the Holy Spirit said to me that somebody needs to hear that they're worthy, that you're worthy, man. So you need to know how important and valuable you are as a person. Okay. But with that said, I want to be able to know if there's somebody who feels like they're stuck and they're stagnant, and they just don't seem to see this thing through. Like, whatever decisions that you're trying to make, you just can't make it. Let me tell you, you can potentially be the reason for that. You are causing those stagnant emotions. So you're the one who's anchoring yourself to not be able to make progress in your life, right? So the quality of your life can be determined by the way you think. The way you think about, your finances, the way you think about your health, the way you think about yourself, the way you believe about whatever you believe about yourself. All of these things are key factors when it comes down to how you project yourself out in the marketplace, how you project yourself in your workplace, how you project yourself around other people, even you're meeting strangers. I can say that I have my 4 children are 4 different people. For anyone that knows my kids know, these are 4 different personalities. Okay. So one of my daughters is very much a shy person. We use the term introvert to call her behavior is very much introverted. She's not a people person per se. She's very shy when it comes down to simple things like going to the store and getting to the register to pay for her goods. The girl is like, Mom, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to go to the register. I don't want to talk to that lady. I don't know her. It's very interesting, but that's her personality, right? So that's my work in progress. I could tell you that every one of my kids have had an impact on my life and my growth as a woman, stretching as a mom, and in my leadership role that I have, both in my corporate arena and also in the community that I serve. My kids help me stretch when it comes down to how to cope and how to help people cope and how to help people deal with the identity crisis. And we know that there's something now that has been being exposed. A lot of times women have this identity crisis, right? Where it's just not, you're comparing yourself, you're just not comfortable in who you are. You're not confident in who you are, because why? Because we are in an imposter syndrome society, right? Everybody feels somewhat that they're not measuring up, okay? So I want to ask, what's the mindset? This is where the conversation is going to get very personal, because it's the mindset. What mindset you have is the mindset that's going to keep you either progressing or regressing. It's how you're thinking. It's your personal perception of the exterior and how you internalize this, and how you, from internalizing this, then how do you put forth effort to deal with, you know, having, what you call difficult people at work, or maybe a difficult spouse or difficult children, or maybe having, finances are tight, or maybe you are going through a breakup, going through a divorce, losing your home, losing your car, whatever that might be. When we learn to detach, I call it detachment. When you learn to detach from those external factors, what happens is you tend to keep your power. You tend to keep your own personal power when you can release yourself from having control over the things that are around you that have nothing to do with you. They are around you, you have access, but they have nothing to do with you. Okay? So a lot of times I hear women say, I'm just sick and tired, right? I'm sick and tired. And I said, well, sometimes if you're not sick and tired of really being sick and tired, you're not going to make a change. Okay? Because a lot of women are doing the same thing over and over and over. A lot of people are doing the same thing over and over and over. And we know insanity defines doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's what you define as insane. Okay? So stagnancy in life is just a sign that there's something deeper that's going on that you have not dealt with and you have not addressed. I had seasons in my life that I was stagnant. I was not motivated. I was not interested in doing what I'm doing right now. Um, there were seasons in my life that I went through depression. I just did not care to, get up and work on purpose. I did not care. I wasn't interested. I wasn't motivated. I felt like nobody wants to listen to me. No one wants to hear what I have to say. So there were seasons in my life. This is the stuff that I'm talking about. This is stuff that I went through. Okay. These are experiences that I went through, and I really had to get rid of the self-sabotaging beliefs. I had to get rid of the limiting beliefs. I had to get help. I had to get coaches. I had to go to conferences, events. I had to put in a lot of work to be able to know that, and to believe in myself, first of all, right? I had to be responsible for the life that I wanted to live. I believe today I'm living an optimal life. I have a fruitful life. I'm happy in my life, despite my day-to-day issues, because I still I still face issues every single day. There's still always something that's happening every day. But what I do is I make a decision consciously to pause and process. Okay? Pause and process. So there's nothing that will happen to create the shift and the change unless you take action. Unless you take action. So you living your life to the best of your ability starts with you. I always say that whenever we can come to a place individually, right? When we can come to a place to receive ourselves authentically. Because see, why do I always advocate for authenticity? I'm going to give you one perfect example. If I were to take your thumb and I put ink on your thumb and I put it on a piece of paper, and I do the same thing with maybe 10, 15, 20 other women, I can guarantee you, like I can literally guarantee everything that is in my being, in my fiber, there will be no duplicating your fingerprint. So if I guarantee that to every single one of you, why is there this sense of comparison that's keeping you stuck? Why is this sense of, again, the imposter syndrome that is robbing you of your trueness, right? How you doing, Courtney? Good evening. Thank you for joining. So let me just say it again. It is so powerful to know, man, there's nobody like you. There's nobody like you. So when you begin to accept that there's nobody like you, then you begin to walk in what I consider to be your authentic truth. That means that you know that whatever you do, nobody can do it like you. Okay? There's millions of speakers all over the world. Millions. There's millions of people all over the world who have platforms, who are speaking on a day-to-day basis, who are coaching, who are inspiring, who are doing what you see me doing right now. But let me tell you, Can nobody do what Shayla Bryan does? And I'm confident in that. Can nobody do what I do and how I do it? So when I say I accepted my authenticity, I accepted myself and my trueness, I began to experience what you call freedom, right? I was able to, walk away from the perceptions that other people had of me. And I had to learn that what other people think of me is none of my business. Absolutely none. None of my business, right? So I was able to move forward. So I keep making mistakes. Of course, mistakes is something you make daily. And sometimes I have my little technical difficulties. There are days that I feel a little frustration because things aren't really going well. I might be running late for one of my lives, or one of my children comes up out of nowhere. They have something to do, so they may delay my plans. But let me tell you, I still take on those small setbacks with what you call joy, because I know that all things work out for the good. You know what I'm saying? Everything works itself out for the good. So I can tell you that I have been reading a book, and this book sit well with me when I read. This book is called The Wisdom of Sundays. There was someone said something very profound in this book, right? That when you think about who's causing your life issues, she talked about you need to be responsible for yourself, to the point that you have to take accountability to what you're allowing in your life. Because if you're allowing people in your life that's bringing you grief, and they're causing you to not thrive in life, or they're taking away, they're draining energy. There's two types of people: those who bring energy and those who drain energy. So you must take responsibility for the places that you go, the people that you allow in your life, the relationships that you bond yourself with, whatever job that is that you have, whatever decisions that you make, until you start taking accountability for those decisions and for the results, right? The perpetual results of ongoing unhappiness. Until you take responsibility, I can tell you nothing is going to change. Why? Because ultimately, every one of us have a decision to make. Every single one of us, every single day that you are awakened and you are given the privilege of gift of life, you have to make a decision. And that's personally to you. So if you have to cut some people out, cut them out. If you have to look for another job, look for another job. If you have to change the place that you live, change the place that you live. All it is a decision. So the question tonight was, are you the culprit? Are you the reason why you are having the issues that you're having in your life? Are you? Most people don't want to accept that. You know why? Because it's so much easier to be the victim. It's so much easier to blame someone else for what's not going well in our lives. It's a lot easier to say they did it. And I tell you why I know that for a certain, because again, I always go back to parables and analogies of being a parent, because I am parenting four different human beings with 4 different age range. And I can tell you that it goes on all the time. If I ask my son, why haven't you done the dishes? Oh, well, I did it already, but so-and-so just cooked dinner and made a pile of dishes again. Right? So-and-so is the reason why there are dishes. Instead of saying, oh, you know what? It's my day, so I'll just go ahead and get it done. It is that hard. It's that hard to just admit or own up or take accountability to the fact that, hey, today is the day that you get to do the dishes, and you do it whether it's one pot or 30 different plates in the sink. But no, he will go straight to, it's so-and-so who created the dishes, so so-and-so needs to do it. I say this, so this is my response back. If I point one finger at you, guess what? 1, 2, and 3, it depends how my thumb looks. You might be pointing back at me. So we need to get out of that mind frame to be pointing fingers at the exterior, right? Rather just look in the inside of each one of us, internally look inside and say, okay, well, how am I handling this? Or did I welcome this in my life? Did I allow this to happen to me? Okay? Because it's easy to be a victim. I always say that when you become the victim of your circumstances have robbed you of your power. And that is just facts, right? So I'm going to say that If anything else, tonight's conversation is really geared towards every single one to take accountability, to really sit down and assess your life. What I call it inventory. Sit down and just inventory your life every single day. Somebody didn't wake up today. Somebody didn't get an opportunity to a do-over today. But you have the opportunity to now change and shift the direction of your life. You do. We have free will. We have a lot of privilege, which is one of the most powerful privileges that we get to is make decisions for ourselves, right? Make decisions for yourself. So I'm going to leave you guys again with, this particular concept that if you are not taking the full responsibility in charge of your life, then you're surrendering that to the external factors as well as maybe other people. So until you get real with yourself, right? Until you sit through your own mess and pick yourself up, 2020 has less than 60 something days left. What are you going to bring into a new year? How is it that you're going to wake up if you were given the opportunity to see 2021? Would it be a 2020 repeat, right? This is the question that I ask myself and I ask those around me. Is because here's something else that I want to make sure that I leave you with, and perhaps this may shake you up a little bit. But and this is something also that a wise man, did speak of in a teaching, and it shook me a little bit, and it had me thinking, and I'm going to bring it up to your attention. If the angel of death came to your door and said, I am here, your time is up, but I'm going to give you an extra maybe 12 hours. Go see how much more you can get done in the next 12 hours. How much more would you be willing to do? What phone calls would you make? What is it that you would fit in those 12 hours if the angel of death came and told you that is your time and only sparing you an additional 12 hours? If you say, well, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, the angel of death is not going to negotiate a bargain and say, well, I already gave you 52 weeks. I already gave you 6 months. I already gave you this much time. What did you do? Right? What did you do? Because if you don't take your own personal life that serious, like it really matters, I guarantee you that every single day that go by, you would be wasting away the privilege that you have, the calling on your life, and you would be answering to a higher power. You will be answering to a God that says that I gave you an assignment, I gave you an appointment, I gave you a calling to answer to me, but you didn't take it. So I hope that this last message does resonate with somebody and you really start to think, if tonight, if anything else, if tonight was your last night and you only have 12 more hours on the books, what would you do that you have not done? How much more serious would you take your life? Because I guarantee you, these things may sound far-fetched and cliche, but death is really much more than just an idea, right? We all know that death is pretty much real. And the angel of death comes and knocks at anybody's door at any given time with no notice. So are you causing your life issues? Is a question that I want you to ask yourself, and hopefully you take inventory. Hopefully you take time and this conversation serves you. If anything, for some people, this conversation is what you needed to hear, that you start to clean it up, that you start getting your act right, that you start putting together a plan and a process to make sure that you create the life that you deserve, because you have the power to do so. First, you have to know and envision what is it that the best life look like for you. And I promise you, you might not need a whole lot of money. You might not need to be in a relationship for that. You might not need to be driving the car you drive. There might be so many different things that you exteriorly will get rid of, and it will give you a sense of true meaning and value and worth and purpose. And you can start identifying what your best life, you can start identifying what an optimal life look like for you, a happy life, and you can take control and steer your life in that direction. So with that said, guys, I'm looking forward to next week. Thursday night, we're going to have a special guest, man. She's just a phenomenal boss. She's a coach, phenomenal woman, man. I'm looking forward to hear what she has to say. She is living her optimal life. I've met her a few years ago. I had the privilege to sit and work with her as well. She's impacted my life. I still, follow her. I keep up with her, and she's an amazing woman. I can't wait to hear what she has to share with so many of us as far as when it comes to living your optimal life, what she did to conquer and overcome a lot of limiting beliefs. And most importantly, what is it that she's doing on a day-to-day basis to live her own life to her best and the abilities that she has been given by God. So thank you so much again for joining me tonight. Share this video. I look forward to hearing your feedback, your comments. Feel free to, again, my YouTube page is up and it's running. It has all the contents from season 1 and for the last 2 weeks, including tonight, will be uploaded. So until next Thursday, let's talk live with the Mindset Maven. You know already I'm your host, your international Mindset Maven, Shayla Bryan. Be blessed, everybody.